So, hello everybody, Omar here with James, the founder of Video Y, but a lot more than that, I'm sure. And I've been really looking forward to this chat because you've got this air of mystery about you.
Yeah, I think
You're
so.
totally zen.
Yeah.
You do your thing. You're a mystery man, so I'm really looking forward to learning a little bit more about you. So thanks for joining us,
Dude,
man.
happy to be here. Happy to unpack that as well.
It's been funny. So James is a videographer, and so we've been feeling very out of our depth with our setup, but I think we're good.
Yes.
So do you approve of our
It's all
setup
good,
so
man.
far?
It's totally fun. It's
All
the
right.
message and the story that's most
Nice.
important.
Cool, man. So start by telling me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure.
But maybe just dive a little bit into Video Y, because I know a little bit about it and
Yeah,
the sort of
sure.
underlying reason for it, which I think is really powerful.
Yeah, totally. So I'm James and I'm the founder of Video Y. I'm a videographer. Video Y at this stage exists to help purpose-driven people create incredible content. The easiest way I can explain it is kind of the story of how it got started. So I studied psychology at university, and as I was going through my studies, I got to about 4 years into psych, and I just had this intense urge that I wanted to go out and start a business. I didn't want to go down the traditional university route. And so I finished at 4 years of psych, and then I thought I'm going to go out and be a coach. I'm going to teach people about all the things I've learned through psychology about anxiety and depression. So I made a YouTube channel. It's still up there. It's called Mind Unlimited.
Nice.
And it was just me talking about, this is what we learn about anxiety. This is what the research says. I wanted that to be a business, and it ultimately didn't work.
Right.
And the realization I had is I didn't know anything about business, nothing.
No
And
one does.
For me, I realized if I get around founders and business people, I could learn. And so I literally typed entrepreneur into seek.com, just applying for everything, just trying to hang out with founders and business people. And then I eventually got a job. And this was because I was learning how to make YouTube videos and all about video. I realized I could make a video resume, and then I got way more engagement from that. So that helped me get my first job at a co-working space.
All right.
And so I worked as a receptionist there, and during the year and a half I was there, I got to meet business people, founders, entrepreneurs, and I built a network. I learned a lot, but the most important thing of all was that I got to meet a real mentor, somebody who completely took me under their wing, gave me the right advice that I needed, had the wisdom to see where I was at, and just the right type of learning and development that I needed. And so he helped me get the idea together that we're going to go out, we're going to create video content about why you do what you do. He gave me my first client, and then helped me take that leap from full-time work to part-time to casual, and then out into the world.
Amazing. And now Video Y does that full time.
Yeah, and then I guess it's just, I don't know, luck, or if it's just meant to be, but somebody I knew at that co-working space just happened to say, hey, look, I know you're going to go out and do this thing. I think I know a guy who might need some help. He's working on a video blog thing. Go catch up with him. And it was Toby from Creative Cubes. So he was kind of my second client, really.
Right.
And so I spent 6 months kind of just hanging out in his office, editing videos for him, but also learning, just watching him do stuff. And that was rapid learning, and that really helped get things to the next level. Then Hawthorne Creative Cubes opened. I got up and I pitched. I won the 12-month sponsorship, and that was really legitimizing everything that we were doing. Then, I'm sorry I'm going on and on
No,
about
it's
this,
perfect, man. It's
but
perfect.
after winning that, it was cool, we've won it now, but now I'm really in. Prior to that, I felt I had training wheels on and kind of had Toby helping me out. Now it's me.
Yeah.
Where am I getting clients? Where's my cash flow? And it was really, really challenging at the start of the year. Thought about quitting multiple times. Just really felt the negative side of entrepreneurship. And so I was waiting for this big piece of work to come through. I'd done some work with the guys from Startup Grind, and through interviewing all the people, or most of the people who spoke on this stage, I got to meet Oztrade. And so I was waiting to hear back from them, seeing if we were going to do this project together. It wasn't looking like it was going to happen. And then finally it all goes through, and it's one of the biggest projects I've done to date with the Australian government, and they also sent me overseas. It was the first time I've ever been overseas before, to Singapore and Shanghai. Filmed all this content, and then just having that legitimacy, being like, this is the work we did for the Australian government. It's so much easier to find our next clients after that. And so from that point on, it's just being all through word of mouth. But just every piece of work we do, we get better and better, and we meet new people, and we kind of grow that way. So now, like, I've run into so many roadblocks and so many challenges, but I've got all that strength and learning from that. So I'm ready to move forward. That's pretty much where it is today.
Super cool, man. Very, very well done. So there's a lot in that I'd like to unpack.
Yeah.
Maybe let's start by, you said there were a couple of times that you were really considering quitting early days. Maybe talk us through your mindset, what you did or didn't do to help you get through that and not quit.
Yeah.
And maybe just give us some of your thinking around quitting versus not quitting, and maybe if you can tie it back into your psychology background.
Yeah, I think
see what you can come up with.
Why I didn't quit. I think it's just, for me, I think it's just part of me that I wanted to embrace the challenge. I think, if I was to really summarize it, in my mind, it's okay if things are really hard, or it's okay if things aren't going well at all. And I think, at least from what I experienced talking to a lot of my peers, sometimes when things are going horribly wrong, it's like, oh no, this whole situation is wrong, and I need to quit. Whereas for me, and I'm happy to go into this later on too, but through a lot of the experiences I had, particularly growing up, mental health challenges, challenging upbringing, I'm like, I'm okay, or I'm not okay, but I'm familiar with all this uncertainty, all this challenge and adversity, and I know on the other side of it, there's a better end. So like, rather than freaking out, be like, okay, I'm gonna quit, like it's too hard, I'm just like, cool, if I can stick with this, even if it really sucks, it's nowhere near as bad as previous situations, and there's something better on the other side of it. I think that's why.
Cool, man. It's really interesting. So I've definitely been through, and I don't know your backstory, so certainly not comparison points.
Sure.
I've been through some tough times as well, and I went through that. Excuse me. I went through this period of time where I was selling everything at cash converters, and I was like eating my 2-minute noodles and eating crackers, and I often talk about this idea of whether it be stoicism or whether it be, some people, I think Tim Ferriss talks about it as practicing poverty, and just like this idea of knowing how bad it can be, and that as long as it's not that bad, then you're going to be fine, and just using it as like a reset point. So interesting to hear you sort of talk about a similar thing. So one of the things that you absolutely seem to be, and I don't want to say because maybe you're not, but you're on surface level, you are like Zen master.
Right.
One of the things that I admire about you enormously, and I'm not very good at this, which is why I admire about you so much. When you're walking through the office, whatever, and somebody says hello, you fully engage with that hello, and you are fully present in whatever you are doing. Is that on purpose?
Yeah.
Like, how is this 100%. Like present Zen thing come to be?
That's really cool you noticed that. 100% on purpose. So I think the presence part is, I'll give you this backstory because I think this will paint the entire picture. So I grew up in public housing here in Australia. Basically just had a lot of challenges growing up. So both my parents were unemployed, and they had their own mental health, personal challenges. So we had no money, and then mental health challenges, and also they got into prescription drug addiction, which I think is a huge part of the mental health challenges that we all have. But it was that combination of things that just made everything look hopeless. Constant turmoil, constant fighting, like police around, like all this kind of shit. This is how I grew up. And so the way I kind of viewed it and the way I thought about it in my head is like constant fighting, war zone. It's not peaceful at all. So I think in a really like unconscious way, but just something in me wanted peace, I gravitated towards meditation. And I found this book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I'm not sure if you read it, but it's like...
one of my favorites.
Dude, it's one of my favorite books. But I read that, and I think I was still in high school at this point, and he was teaching me about presence, and that the idea that potentially all your problems are either in the past or the future, but if you're in the present, that's where you can find peace. And so... because I didn't have a lot of options, I'm just like, dude, whatever you say in this book, I'm 100% in.
Sure.
Read it like so many times. My copy of it is like tattered because I took it everywhere I went. And I just did what he said. I tried to practice everything, even if I didn't get it and I didn't understand. I just kept reading and tried to get it. And then I spent time sitting on a park bench, like he suggests in the book. And then I finally started to get it. I'm like, all this negativity outwardly, it stops when I'm here. And I just, it was such like a visceral and eternal thing. I'm like, holy shit, if I do this, is peace. Everything else is chaotic, but this is peace. And that's what made me go really deeply into meditation and presence. And for me at a younger age like that, the mentality and internal dialogue just became presence is everything. Like, if I'm present, I'm safe. All good things in my life are coming from being present. Everything horrible in my life is coming from being I'm not present.
Sure.
So there's that. And then I think the people part is I love people. I think that's come from the goodness in my family and that they do care about people. And then I just also know what it's like to not have connections, to be isolated. So the way I think about it is that, I don't know, this is a weird thought. I haven't really expressed it too much, but anytime I can interact with somebody and just be there for them and be present with them, maybe that's alleviating some type of loneliness in them. I don't know what the extent of it is. Maybe they're totally fine, but on the off chance that somebody is really struggling, if I can just be there for them and listen unjudgmentally, I might be helping them out.
And is that, do you think, because you've been through so much shit?
Yes.
Yeah, man, it's such a powerful thought, right? So, I was saying to somebody the other day, I was talking about this period in my life where I was going through that cliched story of just not wanting to get out of bed in the morning. And I remember thinking before I got to that point in my life, I'd heard about people talking about that. I'm like, yeah, whatever, of course you can get out of bed.
Right.
And then I got to a phase in my life where I couldn't get out of bed. I'm like, okay, I get it now. And I often put hypnotism into that. I haven't been hypnotized yet, and until I get hypnotized, I'm going to be like, yeah, sure, whatever, good story. But I think meditation and this idea of presence and mindfulness is also in that bucket for a bunch of people. They're like, sure, whatever, read a book, sit on a park bench, BS.
Right.
But you've been forced into it.
Yes.
So I suppose what I'm getting at is, what's the advice that you can give people, or what's the message that you can share in terms of, like, how can we help people buy into this notion when perhaps they don't have a real bad reason or a real, like, strong driving force to do so?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. I think it's tricky for me because it was just such an obvious example that everything goes so much better when you have presence. I don't know. I think, I guess part of my advice is go do something really challenging. I think you do learn more when you have really challenging experiences. It ingrains the lessons into you. But yeah, for me, man, it's like, I find it hard to have an argument for it because I'm just like, it's peace.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want peace?
Yeah.
But it's so internal for me. So
Yeah.
I don't really have like a sales or a pitch to explain why it's so good. For me, it just is.
Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good, man. The meditation that you practice, what type of meditation? Tell us a little bit about that. How do you do it?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I think two different ones. Number one is just counting or breath work. So I would literally just count down from 100, and that would be my meditation. Just sitting, eyes closed, and just counting backwards. Or focusing on my breath, really getting into the sensations of my breath. Or if you really want to take it up a level, this is what I do now. It's from Mind Valley. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those guys. They have the 6-phase meditation.
Don't know about it.
It's awesome, especially if you're like kind of like a go like type of person. It gives you different points to do throughout the meditation.
Right.
So there's a section on gratitude. There's a section on forgiveness. There's a section of envisioning the future. I really like that because it gives you kind of something to do rather than just being on your breath.
For sure. So stuff, I love what you just said there. A lot of people who haven't meditated before, they've got this misconception that it's all about transcendental meditation, where you're sitting there and you've got like this mantra or the sound that people hear. But meditation doesn't have to be that complex, right? You can just sit there and count backwards, as you've just said, and that can be meditative.
Totally.
Any other types of things that you engage with which you feel is quite meditative for you, or you do your meditation and that's your meditation?
I think just going for a walk would be part of it.
Can I just say on that?
Yeah.
I see you walking and you're so zen when you walk. Like, I saw James at the traffic lights the other day, and you were waiting for the little man to turn from red to green. And so many people, and I'm sure you've noticed this because you're so zen and present, so many people, when they get to a moment of stop, straight to their phone, right? It's just like this habit now.
Yeah,
and you were
good point.
you were just standing there, just chilling out, watching the world go by. You're often like walking up the street, just zen. But I know you got like amazing stuff going on, so you know you're not just mucking about. You just freaking chill AF.
Yeah, for me, it's like, especially this year, like having more challenging experiences with business, I realize there's a point where I just burn out, or there's only so much that my mind can hold. Particularly like, this is what I'm really experiencing this past year is like, say, and I do jiu-jitsu as well, so I train jiu-jitsu, grappling martial art.
We're going to come back to that. I learned that about you last week and
So,
it didn't compute, so we're going to come back to that.
So maybe in one morning I go to training and I just get owned.
Yeah.
And the feeling is like, man, I suck. And not only that, because it's physical as well, there's that physical element. You're like, dude, I just got beat up. Like this just sucks and it's demeaning. But you kind of like, it's okay and it's just training, it's part of the process. But sometime on one day I'll take on that crappy feeling in the morning, and then maybe I go into work and I've got a new quote coming in and someone's like, yes, we want to work with you. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And then the next person who talks to me is like, dude, we're not happy at all with what you're saying. I'm like, fuck. And it's like this constant thing of like, and then family gets into it, and like different people and different social interactions, just all this stuff. By the end of the day, I'm fried.
Yeah.
Like I've realized there's so much information, so much that's gone through my mind. At the end of the day, I'm totally out. And I just realized like, I don't think human beings can process that much information. So when I'm doing something like that, just walking or not looking at my phone, I'm consciously saying, don't look at the phone, because there's too much. Like I've had so much information. I just want no information. I just want to be present and just be.
So cool, man. I know it's probably creepy. I'm watching you at the crossing, but I'll stop watching you.
It's all good. It's a good observation.
Talk to me about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
How'd you get into that?
Yeah, I can't remember if I told you this story, but basically I was walking down the street. There was like this, I don't know if this person was on drugs or they were just angry, but they were just kicking, throwing these big roundhouse kicks, kicking street signs, almost kicking people. I walked past and they almost kicked me. And afterwards, I just thought, oh my God, if that person wanted to beat me up, there's nothing I could do. They could just beat me up.
Yeah.
And so it set off this thought in my mind that I needed to learn some type of self-defense. So I researched, I found jiu-jitsu, and then I'm just totally into it. For people who aren't so much into martial arts, I think it's the best one to get into. You don't get hit in the face, but you get all the great things about like discipline and training and self-defense and confidence. It's awesome, man. I love it.
My self-defense is like scream and run the other direction. What are some of the lessons or the wisdom you can take from that type of martial art into the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think just to start, just showing up. And
that's powerful. That's a powerful, simple idea, right?
Yeah, and even if things are going well, or sometimes they don't go well, just consistently showing up. And same thing I feel like with business, like some days will be really challenging and I don't feel like I'm winning, but it's just a commitment to show up regardless of what's happening. And then if you just commit to the process, you don't get too caught up on like, am I progressing? Am I getting good enough? Oh, that person's a little bit better than me. It's just like, I just need to focus on me and improve my skills, and that's how you move forward. I think that'd be a big lesson.
Do you need to have aggression in jiu-jitsu?
No, not at all. I think more so if you're aggressive, you'll get owned.
Right.
It's more so like a chess game. You're thinking with your mind.
Yeah.
It's not about force and aggression. It's about, oh, this person did this move. What's the counter to that? Oh, like I made a mistake here. And now I'm caught in their trap. Can I get out? No, I messed up like 4 or 5 steps ago.
Yeah, right. Interesting. I'd offer you to armbar me or something, but I'd rather not.
Sure.
Amazing. Talk to me a little bit about, you had a tough upbringing.
Yep.
By every definition. How do you go managing friendships sort of through your childhood, transitioning from adolescence into adulthood? How do you choose the people you surround yourself with? And something I'm really interested in is your parents have obviously had a lot of stuff going on and have created an environment which is, I think, fair to say, less than ideal for a child. So how have you gone to terms with relationships, your family, dealing with all of that?
Sure, man. Big question, lots of pieces. So I think as a start, when I was younger and just normal social interactions, I was really awkward and shy. And I think it was because I didn't have a stable base at home. So I was like all internally just messed up. So I had a really hard time relating with people. What helped for me, and this is like one of the coolest things my dad did, is he taught me how to play guitar.
Right.
And he didn't have a lot of resources, but he built me a guitar to play. And so all I did was play guitar. Like the obsession I have now with video, that was what I was doing when I was a kid. It was all in guitar and all in music. And so it took my mind off a lot of the negative things that were happening, but also gave me this cool skill. So when I was out interacting with people, I became the guitar guy. And I played in bands, I got into music a lot, and that's how I kind of developed my first social circle.
Right.
In terms of friends, when I started getting more into personal development and really wanting to start a business, I became really critical on not spending time with people who were negative in my life, who were kind of bringing me down, because I just didn't need it. I think to the whole mental health point, I think if you are more likely to be challenged by mental health issues, for me, my internal dialogue is I don't have the luxury of letting negative people in my life. I'm not capable enough to hold the space for a negative person and continue on. I just can't. I just stopped spending time with a lot of people who weren't empowering me, and I spend time with people who lift me up. I was saying this to somebody the other day, where they had somebody in their life who was kind of questioning their business ideas and what they were trying to do, not in a helpful way, but more like, oh, you should be doing that. And I'm like, dude, if you don't fucking have people in your life who are all in on what you're doing, they don't belong in your life. And I don't feel like I'm being mean or nasty in that. It's just that I'm up to big things and I want to make a good change in the world and help people. And so it's important for me that I have people who support me.
Sure. How do you, and if you don't want to go there, tell me, right? We can get your help to cut it out and make it look seamless. How do you draw the line with family on that type of thing?
Sure, yeah. So family, definitely a tricky one. I'm really lucky because I've got to make peace with a lot of my family members. And I think this plays into the mental health thing too, is like, how do you perceive what is happening to you? So when I was younger, I really treated my whole family as an enemy. You're the people who are creating all these problems and I don't like you. And then
so you did go through a phase of like pushing against. Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
And then as I kind of got older and learnt more about it, I started to realize like, wow, the reason they're like that is because they had all these other challenging experiences. Yeah. At least they've given me enough of a platform that I can figure my own stuff out. Right. And it stops with me. Like, I'm not going to go continue on and continue the same patterns. Yeah. So yeah, like I have a respect for my family. It's still challenging because there's so much stuff that happened, but I don't have resentment to them. I have care for them. And then I still draw the line as well. Like there's no way I could live at home. Right. No way. Like that would just be
too much.
Way too much. But spending time with them and just helping how I can, that works.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Really, really makes me think about a number of things myself and like how you deal with all this stuff. I think it takes a lot of life experience, maturity to get to a place to recognize, okay, it stops with me and I've now got the ability to make a change, as opposed to just carrying on that resentment. Yeah. Which I think I've been guilty of with certain people in my family as well.
Gotcha. I was definitely like that. I definitely had resentment. Yeah. It was funny because so Toby, who's the founder here of Creative Cubes, when I first met him, he picked me up on how I was talking negatively about my dad. Right. Part of his whole story is that he lost his dad when he was young. So this year, like towards the end of the year, when we caught up and we were talking, he's like, how are things with your dad? I'm like, dude, my dad's like, he provides so much for me. And he could kind of see the change that at one point I was just like, hate him, he's the worst. Now it's more like, this guy really helped me out, like buying me the guitar, like just trying to help how he could.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Well done. Super cool. So talk to me a little bit now around your day-to-day or your week-to-week even routine. How do you approach being your best self every day? You've got a bit going on. You've got your fledgling business, which is just going through enormous growth. Got big opportunities next year. You've grown your team, I've seen. So how do you just go about getting the most out of yourself every day on like a really granular level?
I think for me, it really is the meditation in the morning.
Yeah. First thing?
Yeah, so first thing, literally I'll wake up. Once I'm awake and not still half asleep, I'll go into some type of meditation. For me, so I'm not sure if I've said this before, but I view myself as someone with the potential to develop mental health challenges. So for me, I don't have the luxury of not doing that. And so I notice when I've been lacking in my meditation process, and I notice the power that I have when I do have it. And it's similar to the jiu-jitsu thing of just showing up. Even if I feel one day I'm like, I'm totally fine, like I don't need to meditate today. I'm like, like I need to do this. So I do the 6-phase meditation. If I'm really honest, for me, the most important parts are gratitude on the one hand, thinking about what I'm truly grateful for just for me.
Yeah.
And
Can I just pull you up on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, because I know a lot of people talk about gratitude.
Sure.
How do you go about doing the gratitude?
Yeah,
Like,
dude,
how
great
does it work?
question. I also do this with my team. So
Right.
when we have a meeting together, our first thing is everyone goes around and says, what's something you're grateful for?
Yeah.
And what's a small win that you've had?
Right.
The gratitude, I try to focus on really small things.
Yeah.
In a way that I can notice things that I normally take for granted. So sometimes for me, I'm like, dude, I'm happy I have shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I'm happy I have awesome technology
Sure.
to work with.
Yeah.
I'm happy I'm warm and I'm not freezing and I'm
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
I'm happy I have drinking water. And
Sure.
when I went to Vietnam, you can't drink out of the tap.
Yeah.
Happy I have running water.
Yeah.
So that really grounds me in a way. Like, yes, I'm alive today and I've got another chance to go do things today. So there's gratitude on the one hand, and then really envisioning the future. So I try to get in a really like emotional and an intense state about what am I deeply trying to do here. And for me, it's about helping others. Really everything in my life is about showing other people what is possible. I think a lot about the little me, and that anything that I can do with my life is a lesson to them, saying, hey, it's possible. And for any other person who's had a similar upbringing to me, similar challenges, mental health, whatever it is, every step I take forward is the ability to say, hey, this is what's possible. Doesn't matter how messed up your start was. So I try to connect to that and visualize it. And I almost visualize myself kind of like reaching out to a little me and like grabbing them by the hand, like, dude, it's all right, and we're going to keep going.
And so this is all just in your mind, just
in my
visualization.
mind,
Yep.
Just in my mind. And visualization is huge for me, because particularly when outwardly things weren't great, it was all just me visualizing things. Like, can I start a business? Can I improve my life? So those are the two. I do the meditation, but the two really important parts for me are the gratitude and envisioning the future.
Cool. So you wake up, you do your meditation, get into your day.
Yeah. So either gym or jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And then, so I've just recently started doing like fasting, so intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So I won't have breakfast. I'll get into the office. First thing I do is planning. My first mentor that I had was all about planning and being grounded before you get into the day. So literally just write out a list of these are the core tasks that I want to get done today. And then I just try my best to get that done.
Nice. End of the day, how do you wind down? Do you have any rituals?
Not too much. I try to, the way I see it is I just kind of kill the motors at the end of the day. I realize I'm not going to get anything done, particularly in a creative way too. Like, there's just a certain point in the day where there's no more creative flair coming out. Anything I try to make, it's just crap.
Sure.
So I just kill the motors. I spend time with my girlfriend, and we just do silly stuff, man. Like, we just watch movies and talk shit. And it's fun and it's light. It's not the heavy intensity of business.
Yeah, super cool. Awesome, man. So one last question for you.
Sure.
If you could give one piece of advice to anybody that happens to watch this around being proactive in developing their mental well-being, what would be your one key piece of advice?
I've been thinking about it, man, because I was thinking about this before I came on. I think... So for me, I've had periods in my life where I've experienced a lot of anxiety. So there was a point where I was getting anxiety and panic attacks. And what is really interesting now is that I still experience anxiety, but it doesn't affect me in the same way.
Right.
The way I think about it is like, it could be raining outside, but I'm not getting wet. I've got this raincoat on and it hits me, but it doesn't really get through. And I think that's through education, like really learning about what's going on and understanding it. Like, the more you can understand your experience, I feel, the more power it gives you over what's happening. Like, it's not this scary, crazy thing. It's actually this pretty normal thing that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then the, what is the word? It's self-reflection.
Right.
Really understanding how you feel, how you're affecting others, where are you at, and thinking about, am I okay? if I'm not, I need help.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most. I think that's why, at least at this point in my life, I haven't got too badly caught up with mental health. It's because when I feel like something is off, I'm like, I need help.
Yeah.
Mentor, friend, family, whoever it is, I'm like, something isn't right here, and I'm really in tune with how I feel. I think that's it. Like, cultivate that self-awareness.
Awesome, man. Something I've found just so interesting since we started working on For Men is, for whatever reason, the type of conversation we've just had is a rare conversation.
Yeah.
Unless you set the conversation up.
Right.
But what I've been really intrigued by is that everybody that has achieved some level of performance, professionally, personally, whatever, it's never by accident.
Yeah.
You know, like, honestly, you're the Zen master, and I've always noticed this about you. And then, like, hearing the reasons why, like, it all makes a lot of sense, and it's not by accident.
Yeah.
It's all on purpose. And you know, I just hope that, you know, through people watching you and hearing you, they'll actually, if they put this type of stuff in the whatever basket, actually give it a shot, because you know, plenty of people won't have had any near as tough upbringings as you have. And so if you've been able to, I don't want to say turn things around, but if you've been able to make the most of stuff,
dude, part of what I think is I just want to keep living a bigger, more incredible life, so I can continue to tell my story of where I started and just show people what's possible.
Yeah, man. Amazing conversation. Thank you.
Dude,
I've got so
thanks.
much to learn. We're gonna have to do this again, actually, because
awesome.
like, I want to go next level down. So,
Sure.
mate, thank you, James at VideoY. It's just videoy.com, right?
Yeah, that's it.
As simple as that. Look him up. We've done lots of work with James. It's great stuff. So thanks for tuning in, James. Thank you.
Dude,
I'll talk to you next time. Cheers,
Cool.
man.
Thanks.
Bye.
Sweet.
Thank you, bro. That
Dude,
was
thanks.
amazing.